We're looking back at the collapse of the investment bank Lehman Brothers, which went bust 5 years ago this coming weekend. That was the moment when the horror set in that the unraveling of the real estate boom had triggered the worst financial disaster since the stock market crash of 1929. We'll be examining the lessons from various angles in the next few days. Today, it's the former Lehman executive who left Wall Street for good.
You need caulking, you need some outlet that doesn't work, there's tiling that's broken, there's a mailbox you need to have installed.
Silicon caulking, ceramic tile. 5 years ago, David Ambinder was Senior Vice President of Global Business Support Services at Lehman. 500 people reported to him. He worked in Lehman's fancy building in Midtown Manhattan amid stints of international travel. Now, 53-year-old Ambinder runs a successful Mr. Handyman franchise headquartered over Alaperti's Italian restaurant in suburban New Jersey. You need a toilet replaced or some new countertop, he's the man. His team of 7 does the hands-on. Ambinder's the boss. Are you any good at fixing stuff yourself?
No, I'm terrible. You never want me in your house. But, I think my skill set is more aligned with being a good manager, being someone who's well-versed in marketing, well-versed in financial management, and building a business. And when I was at Lehman or Goldman or Solomon in my financial career, I was always in positions where I managed areas that I didn't know a lot about and sort of loved the challenge of learning new things. And, that challenge certainly was here.
But you must have been smart enough to leave Lehman with some kind of seed capital, some kind of savings to start a business.
Well, I worked on Wall Street for a long time, and I think of myself as a fairly conservative person in the way I live my actual life. So when Lehman went under, it was certainly a financial blow because obviously the stock, which you get paid in a large percentage of your pay, was worth nothing. But, I had a savings, and we decided that this was worth the risk. And regardless of what everyone told me, I did it anyway.
Did you get buy-in from your spouse on this?
If you look at this move, I recognize that it's somewhat drastic and it's somewhat very, very different what typically you see people doing. So my wife, who is just incredibly supportive, I recall initially is like looking at me like I'm a little crazy, but I had both my kids in college.
Right as 2008 is happening.
Yeah, it all converged. So, I had to kind of make decisions very quickly, I thought, in order to make sure that as this whole thing unraveled, I would have some way of creating income. And I didn't think it was in banking anymore because I thought the consolidation was too much. And I thought that the landscape was going to change related to how people were paid on Wall Street where, maybe it wasn't worth it anymore.
If another boom started building in financial services in New York, would you leave this career at Mr. Handyman and start going back into the city and work in banking again, do you think?
It's a question that I've actually thought about, but I could never see myself on that train to Manhattan anymore.
Why do you think, David? Why?
I had great opportunities while I was on Wall Street. I did amazing things, but I can't do them again. I don't want to relive them. I want to try new things. And there are some people who are very uncomfortable with change. I happen to be more comfortable and almost seek change in the things that I do.
David Ambinder was named Mr. Handyman Franchisee of the Year in 2011. We'll be pulling together all of our coverage time to the collapse of